refreshment, Budweiser, the great American lager. Maloney making his 4th major league start, still looking for his 1st major league win. You see the numbers in his first 3 outings. One game he pitched brilliantly against Chicago. And the Sprint pitcher profile on Matt Maloney.
Well, for Matt Maloney, he's got to keep the ball in the ballpark. I mean, if anything hurt him in his first couple of starts this year, 6 home runs. Went down to Louisville to work on a sinker, get ground balls. We'll see if that translates into success here at the big league level.
First pitch to Rafael for a call, who shows bunt is outside and low, ball 1. We're underway in Cincinnati. For a call, a .257 batter with 6 home runs and 36 runs batted in. When he's going good, the Dodgers are going good. When he's not, generally they are not, and that has been the story here in the month of August.
I think you hit it right on the head. I mean, we all tend to focus on Manny Ramirez, but you know, for me, Rafael Furcal at the top of the lineup, you know, he's a guy that sets the tone, and he can do so many things. Switch hitter, can hit the ball out of the park, can hit you that triple, can get to first, can be a threat to steal.
Here's a 2-1 on for a call, and it's in the air to right field. It's playable for Johnny Gomes at the warning track, and he has to leap into the air. That ball carried a little better, it looked like, than Gomes thought it would.
Yeah, I'd like to say Gomes played that into a nice play. See, he had a lot of room, doesn't know where the fence is, and then makes a jump. Could have gone back a few more steps, but to his credit, he did end up catching the ball.
Well, this Reds team has been depleted. You say almost like no other. The only team that technically has had more players go on the disabled list this year, total players, would be the New York Mets. Tampa Bay is certainly right there. Dusty Baker has 18 players who have made 20 or more appearances on the Reds disabled list this season. As Juan Pierre grounds one into center field, and that's a 1-out base hit. Pierre, as always, through his entire career, very much a base stealing threat. He has 23 of them in 33 attempts, and here comes Manny Ramirez. On a Friday night game, quite a boisterous crowd here last night, and they really let Ramirez have it. He came up in critical situations seemingly all night long. And the Reds' former #1 pick, right-hander Homer Bailey, who pitched 8 shutout innings in the game, did nothing but challenge Manny Ramirez on fastballs all night long. And except for one single into center field, he beat him on fastballs all night long.
Well, Manny right now, he's in between. As a hitter, you know, when he's looking for the off-speed pitch, he gets the fastball. When he thinks he's going to get a fastball, he gets the off-speed pitch. And as a hitter, when you're in that type of situation, you're helpless.
You go back to the 25th of July. You're talking 32 games now. And Manny Ramirez has just 2 home runs and 9 runs batted in. That's hard to believe with the numbers and the production this guy has certainly put up through his entire career. In the air, right field. And that ball will carry out of here over the right field wall. It didn't look like he hit it all that well, but we saw the ball carry a short while ago that was hit to right. And that one sails over the right field wall, and Ramirez gives the Dodgers a 2-0 lead in the opening inning.
You see, this is a pitch that's out over the plate. Manny gets good extension, as you mentioned. Ball seems to be carrying to right field. Rafael Furcal hits a ball to lead off the game that Johnny Gomes catches at the track. This ball, Johnny Gomes runs out of real estate. Ball goes over the fence.
So the Dodgers doing what they have done to teams pretty much all year long, and that's jump on them early. And for the Reds, they have been jumped on early by the opposition all season long. The Dodgers have scored the 2nd most first inning runs among all teams in Major League Baseball. The Reds have allowed the most first inning runs among all teams in baseball. 1-1 to Matt Kemp. Blowing away 2 balls and a strike.
Well, you know, getting back to that Manny Ramirez home run. You know, again, you have Juan Pierre at first base. You have somebody at the top of the lineup gets on base. That top of the lineup, they're threat to steal. You get different pitches. Pitchers are concerned about the runner. Manny takes advantage of that. You know, and that's why I think we talked about a little earlier. Rafael Furcal struggling this month. How that has impacted this Dodger offense.
3-1 to Kemp. And the young left-hander Matt Maloney trying to get the second out here in the opening inning, and there's strike 2. Umpiring crew today has Laz Diaz behind the plate. Eric Cooper at first base, Mike Riley at second, and Chuck Merriweather down at third. Kemp has dominated left-handed pitching this season, batting over 400. But Maloney will take care of him, it appears, this time. A lot of wind up there. Or at least there appears to be a lot of wind. Of course, the flags all over America are flying at half staff after the passing of Senator Edward Kennedy. So it's hard to tell, without the flags being a little higher where they normally would be, how much wind there is blowing out towards right field.
Yeah, but just walking the concourse earlier today, I mean, very breezy. So, you know, with what we've seen with the way that ball has flown to right field, just even that pop-up, there's obviously a lot going on out there today.
2 down for first baseman James Loney. Looks at ball 1 low and away. Loney's average has slipped down to 276. Only 9 home runs, but he has 75 runs batted in. Of course, Loney hit the big grand slam in game 1 last year of the National League Division Series at Wrigley Field against Ryan Dempster. And even though it was very early in game 1, a lot of people felt that that was an early dagger right through Lou Piniella's team's heart in that 3-game sweep. 2-1.
Well, it took a lot of the air out of the sails of the Cubs ball club, and probably more importantly, just out of the fans at Wrigley Field. It was almost like a collective, oh no, here we go. And here we go was right. 3 and out with the Cubs.
2-1 to Loney, and it's off the outside corner. 3 balls and a strike. So Maloney falling behind all the Dodger hitters here in the opening inning. Mark Loretta waiting in the on-deck circle. Here comes a 3-1 to the Dodger first baseman. Already a 2-0 Los Angeles lead in the first.
Well, and you can see with Maloney, he's obviously a guy that has to hit his spots. He's not going to overpower you at all. Doesn't seem to have that pitch that, you know, as a hitter, you go up there and you say, okay, I've got to be careful with this slider or this fastball.
One hopper down to Joey Votto. He'll handle things himself, and that'll do it in the Dodger first. But Manny Ramirez, quiet for the better part of a month and a half, hits a 2-run home run in the opening frame. Starting lineup brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun, and with all the injuries, not many household names in this lineup. Rookie Drew Stubbs in center field. Rookie Paul Giannis at short. Good heart of the order in Joey Votto, Brandon Phillips, and Scott Rowland. Vladimir Valentin in left field. A latter third of Johnny Gomes, Craig Tatum, and Matt Maloney. And on the mound for the Dodgers, he's been mighty good his first couple of starts. A 1-1 record, a 1.93 ERA is Charlie Hager. And here's his Sprint pitcher profile.
Well, Charlie Hager, knuckleball pitcher. He's looking for his third great start in a row today. For him, just cannot give up the free pass. Don't walk a lot of guys, because then you're susceptible to that shot over the fence and boom, 2 or 3 runs.
Drew Stubbs, 42 at bats since being called up from AAA Louisville, and he's quickly behind no balls and 2 strikes. Now, Eric, you played with knuckleball pitcher Tom Candiotti. You had to face a handful of knuckleballers throughout your outstanding major league career. Do you have any advice for how to hit a knuckleball?
Well, the best advice I have is advice that I received from Tom Candiotti while he was pitching on my ball club with the Dodgers. And he said, you know, the guys that I have problems with are guys that get up on top of the plate and move up towards me, towards the pitcher. I said, why is that? He says, well, because then I don't feel like I can go inside at all, because I don't know if my knuckleball is going to hit them. I try and stay away from the plate. Therefore, I don't throw a lot of strikes. And also, when they're right up on top of the plate, it takes away some of the movement as far as if you're further back in the box.
Strike 3 called on the outside corner. And there's some of that late movement you just talked about.
Well, that's the thing. When you face a knuckleball pitcher, you've got to throw all the hitting out the window as far as, well, okay, I stand back in the box. You stand back in the box against every other pitcher. This is a guy you have to make adjustments. Get up on top of the plate. Move up. You know, make it difficult for the pitcher. See, he's back in the box. That's not to say he won't hit it, but again, you're facing a pitch that is completely different than anything you face. So why are you going to hit the same? Change things up.
Paul Giannis swings and fouls it off to the first base side out of play. Quickly, no balls and 2 strikes.
You know, a lot of guys will also just go up and take until they get 2 strikes. Just say, hey, look at it, see what kind of control this guy has. You know, Hager's a guy that is in his first start against the St. Louis Cardinals. 80 pitches, 78 of them were knuckleballs.
And an unbelievably high percentage of those were strikes. There's a drive into left field, and Ramirez will make the catch. Manny appeared to be fooled by that ball, or maybe he didn't pick it up initially coming off the bat. 2 away in the inning.
I think he was just playing possum out there for us, acting like he knew what he had.
Of course, Manny, for the first time all year long, and for that matter, after coming over from Boston last season, heard boos from some of the Dodger faithful on their last homestand after a couple of misplays defensively in left field.
Well, there was a ball that got by him, playing the Cubs, and you know, he didn't sprint after it, but it didn't make a difference. The guy was going to end up at third regardless if Manny sprinted or not. But I think people are more frustrated, not so much with the fielding, but with the lack of offense that he's demonstrated over the last month.
Well, here's one of the bright young stars in Major League Baseball today, a native of Toronto, Canada. Joey Votto, in his first full year in the major leagues. I mean, he was on the active roster all of last season, but began the year backing up Scott Hatteberg, and then wound up becoming the everyday player. Hit .297, 24 home runs, 84 batted in, finished second in the National League Rookie of the Year balloting to Giovanni Soto of the Cubs. And after Albert Pujols through the first 2 months of this season, Votto was probably the second best player in the National League. But then, following the death of his father at the end of last season, Votto went on the disabled list with stress-related concerns. He missed over a month and a half. And when he went down, the Reds were 6 games over 500. And when he came back, they were reeling. Just an outstanding young hitter. Struck him out on that knuckleball, and that'll end the inning. So a good start for Hager. End of 1 in Cincinnati. The Dodgers in front, 2-0. Ball presented by Gillette Body Wash, sponsored by Sprint. Get more done with Nextel Direct Connect, only from the Now Network. By Taco Bell, think outside the bun. And by the new All Taurus from Ford, drive one. Two 2-0 Dodgers on a Manny Ramirez opposite field home run in the first inning. And here come the Dodgers in the second against rookie left-hander Matt Maloney. Mark Loretta getting the start down at third base today in place of Casey Blake, another slumping Dodger here in the month of August. Of course, there are a lot of them, Eric. You see this team on a pretty regular basis.
Well, they have. They've struggled. And, you know, every team through the course of the season is going to go through their ups and downs. And right now, you know, there's a collection of guys that have struggled this month. You know, the reality is, though, they're still in first place. They've got a 4-game lead. You see Casey Blake right there.
And they still have the best overall record in the National League. And, of course, that is extremely important, or at least it is for most teams. There's no guarantee. We saw that with the Cubs, who had the best record in the National League last year, and they were promptly eliminated in 3 games by these Dodgers. But you have home field advantage as long as you're in the playoffs if you have the best overall record in your league. Mark Loretta has been a good, solid player for a long, long time.
Yeah, he has. He and Brad Osmus, 2 nice signs by Ned Colletti this offseason.
Down the left field line towards the corner, and that is a foul ball. 3-2 on Loretta.
You know, Mark Loretta being able to play some third, some first, occasionally up the middle as well. See this ball missing by a few feet. You know, he and Brad Osmus, both guys that have played on winning ball clubs. Loretta part of the Red Sox World Championship team. There's Brad Osmus behind the plate today. He's really helped Russell Martin this year.
Still 3-2.
You know, I think that's been one of the strengths of this Dodger ball club, is the depth of this team. You know, whether it's an Osmus, a Loretta, a Juan Pierre, you know, Juan Castro in the infield. Pitching depth.
On the ground by diving Roland, by a diving Giannis, and that's a leadoff single for Loretta. To start the Dodgers' second inning, time for a DirecTV game break. Earlier today in the Bronx, Sergio Mitre was outstanding, 6 1/3 innings, allowing just 1 hit. Got good defense behind him from Alex Rodriguez, and then A-Rod with a bat. A 2-run home run, is 23rd. And the Yankees shut out Chicago. The reeling White Sox blank 10-0. White Sox have slipped into 3rd in that American League Central Division. 5 games back going into play today. Of course, Detroit just underway at home against Tampa Bay. Minnesota 4.5 back as Orlando Hudson looks at a strike. The Yankees, meanwhile, 6 games in front of Boston going into play today. And the Red Sox 2.5 better than Texas in the wild card. Just when it looks like Texas or Tampa Bay are going to make, you know, the big step or the 2 big steps, it's a step or 2 the other way. Off the end of the bat in the short right field, and that'll fall in a hit. So back-to-back singles from Loretta and Hudson, and the Dodgers in business to begin the second inning.
Well, a nice pitch right here. Orlando Hudson hits it off the end of the bat. Out in front a little bit. But again, it's not always how hard you hit it. Serves it out to right field, and Brad Osmus comes up with runners on first and second.
The Dodgers went 0 for 9 here last night with runners in scoring position. They were just dominated by Homer Bailey through the front 8. And then staged a rally in the 9th inning, only to leave the bases loaded after scoring 2 runs in a 4-2 loss. And you see what they've done the last 4 games. Not much in these situations. You know, Eric, you brought up the quality play the Dodgers have gotten out of some of their backup guys like Loretta, like Ausmus, like Pierre. And really, perhaps more than anything else, is where you see the difference there in the big market team as opposed to the mid market or small market team. Well, the Dodgers have guys like Loretta, like Ausmus, like Pierre as backups.
Well, you have them as backups. You have a Jeff Weaver out in the bullpen that's made 7 starts. And you're right. I mean, the depth that is afforded to teams that economically can go out and sign those types of guys. I mean, that is an advantage. There's Juan Pierre. Did a great job filling in for Manny Ramirez and batting at the top of the lineup.
He'd be starting for just about every other team in baseball.
Yeah, and he's handled it with pure class.
Well, he's always been a great kid. I'll never forget that first time as a member of the Rockies. He went out to San Francisco and Willie Mays knew his name. That one misplayed badly by Votto in the right field. And the Dodgers will score a run. Hudson on his way to third. It's 3-0. Looked like Votto got caught in between bounces.
Yeah, a few things there. Joey Votto playing off of the base with the runner leading off. He's behind him. You see where he is. This right there, you see how he comes in, but then he stops. And once you commit to come in, it's all or nothing. You just come in, you stick that glove down, and you kind of just hope it goes in there. But then following that, though, Orlando Hudson stopped at second base. Johnny Gomes, a right fielder, didn't come in with a lot of effort. Just kind of picked the ball up. Hudson saw him without having any kind of effort getting the ball. He just turned and ran to third. Gomes just flipped it in.
Well, they score that as a base hit for Ausmus and an RBI. And Matt Maloney having just some bad luck so far here in this inning. Bunted out in front of the plate. The runner will stay at third. The runner will advance first to second on a sacrifice by Hager, and there's one out in the inning.
And see, you watch Johnny Gomes out here in right field. Now see here, the ball's hit. He's not doing much. Oh, this is the bunt play. I'm sorry. I thought we were running an old thing. We still saw Johnny Gomes out there in right field. That's just a routine play right there. Catcher comes out, grabs the ball, fires it over to first base.
One away for a call, and the Reds going to bring their infield in, already trailing 3-0 here in the second inning. And a breaking ball, and a good one by Maloney, is strike one. So here in the inning, you get a roller that gets by a couple of defenders on the left side. A bleeder off the end of the bat by Hudson, then a misplayed ball that scored a hit by Votto at first. And the Dodgers already with a run home and looking for more here in the second inning. 0-2 on for a call.
But that's what's going to happen to a guy like Maloney, because he's not going to overpower anybody. He's not a swing and miss guy. So, you know, you're going to have situations like this. You're going to have to hope that, hey, when balls are hit, they go to guys. Because, again, he's not going to get a lot of swing and misses.
1-2 on for a call. Maloney, originally a third-round draft choice by Philadelphia, came over from the Phillies to the Reds for Kyle Loesch 2 years ago, and has had a couple of outstanding years in the minor leagues, and they're hoping that he can blossom into a dependable pitcher at the big league level. A fly ball will bring in another run. Give the sac fly to for a call scoring Hudson. And that's where that play by Gomes in right field perhaps costs the Reds a run. It's 4-0 Dodgers.
It'll be interesting to see now. You know, Juan Pierre up at the plate. You see Votto back, rolling back. This is the time where he could drop one down.
That's something that Juan Pierre has done through his outstanding major league career. You go all the way back The last 9 seasons in Major League Baseball, 9 of them, Juan Pierre ranks first in stolen bases, first in bunt hits, second in infield hits among all Major League players. There are the numbers, and they don't lie.
Yeah, he's a guy that knows his ability, knows what he's good at, and takes advantage of it.
Lined into center field. That is a base hit. They're going to wave around the runner. Here comes a throw to the plate by Stubbs, and the runner is out at the plate. So the rookie center fielder, Drew Stubbs, cuts down Brad Ausmus. But the Dodgers score twice in the inning and lead 4-0.
Well, you see Drew Stubbs firing it in. Brad Ausmus coming to the inside part of the plate. Tries to get around the catcher Craig Tatum, but a nice tag.
Stubbs with a lot of tools. This year, in fact, in Baseball America, was ranked as the International League's best base runner, best defensive outfielder, and best outfield arm. So his defense and his speed, there's very little debate. The big question with him, along with today's shortstop Paul Janisch, will either one hit enough to play regularly in the major leagues?
And especially in this ballpark, you have to hit.
Well, here's Brandon Phillips. He's done plenty of hitting since coming over from the Cleveland Indians. I mean, you talk about all the second basemen in Major League Baseball, and you'd be hard pressed to find a guy who's put up better numbers in major offensive categories than Brandon Phillips. In fact, you take a look this year, first in stolen bases, second to Chase Utley in RBIs, and the fourth most home runs.
Yeah, very athletic player. As you mentioned, a lot of tools, a lot of talent.
And of course, he won the Gold Glove at second base in the National League last year, and he snatched it away from his good pal who's out there playing second base for the Dodgers today, Orlando Hudson. Hudson won the Gold Glove at second in the American League his final year in Toronto, and then came over and won a couple in the National League with Arizona.
Well, again, another great sign by Ned Colletti. You know, Hudson, the energy he has in the clubhouse, you know, the defense. The Dodgers up the middle for Call and Hudson. Usually Matt Kemp out patrolling center field. As athletic a trio as there is in the game.
3-2 on Brandon Phillips, and he barely got a piece of it. And we'll do it again. Phillips to be followed by Scott Rowland, and then Vladimir Valentin trailing 4-0.
You just see the movement on this ball. And you think it's right there in the last minute, just drops out of the zone.
Struck him out on the very next pitch. That's 3 of the first 4 batters that Charlie Hager has struck out.
Again, there's really no way to approach a knuckleball. I mean, each guy's got to, you know, figure out what works for him as a hitter. You know, and again, it's like I said earlier, Tom Candiotti just said, hey, get up on the guy I don't like throwing is the guy on top of the plate, up in the box. I said, heck, he doesn't like throwing to him. That's the way I'm going to approach him.
So what knuckleball pitcher do you remember facing on any sort of regular basis? Because they have been, you know, sort of a passing breed here in recent years.
Wakefield came up the same year I did.
Then with the Pirates.
Yep, then with the Pirates. Steve Sparks toyed around with the knuckleball. He was with the Angels, then with the Tigers. So we threw a lot to Brad Ausmus. But again, you're not going to make a living hitting against knuckleballers.
And you know, with that in mind, as Rowland takes up an in 2-1, it makes you wonder why there aren't more of them.
Well, because of the inconsistency. I mean, again, you talk about Tim Wakefield. You remember, the Pirates released him.
And this guy right here has been released, in fact.
Yeah.
The Chicago White Sox originally had Charlie Hager. They let him go. He got picked up by San Diego. They didn't really give him much of a chance. And then the Dodgers brought him in as a non-roster invitee to spring training. He pitched less than 5 innings during spring training with a big league club. And here he is pitching in the biggest month and a half of the year. Rowland grounds out, and they're 2 away in the inning.
Well, I think knuckleball pitchers get opportunities out of necessity. They don't get opportunities because, wow, we've got a knuckleball guy, we're going to take a look at him. You know, you have injuries, people are, you know, aren't pitching well. I mean, but you never go out, you know, hear a scout say, oh, we got this knuckleball kid down in Louisville, we got to sign him. It just doesn't happen.
Vladimir Valentin, once highly touted prospect for Seattle, came over in a trade from the Mariners to the Reds a month and a half ago. And with all the injuries, and I mean, the Reds are 6-7 deep as far as their depth chart is concerned, of guys that are getting regular playing time at a number of positions, and certainly outfield is one of them. They're going to let Valentin see a lot of playing time here over the final month of the season. They're hoping to have their former #1 draft pick of a couple of years ago, Jay Bruce, who burst on the scene and had an outstanding final 3 months of last year, was struggling with his batting average this year, although he did have 18 home runs before he broke his wrist. He's hoping to be back by mid-September. And really, you look at the injuries, and more importantly, who the injuries are. Edinson Volquez, 17-game winner and All-Star. Aaron Harang, their ace for years. Johnny Cueto, highly touted young right-hander. Talked about Bruce. Regulars Taveras. Ramon Hernandez was having an excellent year. You go back to that list again. And then some of the guys they really wanted to see more of this year, including Hannigan and Chris Dickerson, all on the disabled list.
Well, the thing is, you know, with this Cincinnati ball club, I mean, you're probably talking about, see Volquez right there. You know, you talk about the opportunities next year, you know, in spots that are probably open. You look at left field, that is a spot. You can have Dickerson and Bruce out there in the outfield. But the thing is you know, who is going to, are you going to put a veteran out there? Are you going to put another young player? I mean, this team is going to be littered with young players, and then what is the payroll going to be?
2-2 the count. Well, the Reds have so much of their money tied up in really about a handful of guys, especially now that Scott Rowland has been brought on board, coming over from Toronto. 3-2 to Ballantine. They have a lot of money tied up in Roland and Harang and Bronson Arroyo. Their closer, Francisco Cordero. There's ball 4 down low, and the Reds have their first base runner. Well, Fox Saturday Baseball next week, presented by Budweiser, returns. Teams with playoff aspirations. Some will see the Giants in Milwaukee, Boston in Chicago. The Rangers will play at Camden Yards. Our coverage begins 4 Eastern, 3 Central. Check local listings for the game and time in your area. Who do you like in that wild card race? You've seen a lot of those NL West teams, Eric Karros. Giants getting a big win, a shutout win behind the reigning Cy Young Award winner Tim Lincecum last night. They're within 2 of Colorado in the wild card race.
If I have to pick a wild card winner, I would pick a wild card team, and that team is going to be the Atlanta Braves. That's who I think has the best opportunity to sneak in because of their starting pitching 1 through 5. Tim Hudson comes back on Monday. You know, I know they've got a bit of a ways to go, but San Francisco just has a heck of a schedule in the month of September. You know, Colorado, I don't know what happens to them after today and tomorrow. You know, they lost last night. I like the Braves pitching staff. I've seen them quite a few times, and again, for me at this juncture of the season, if you could pitch, I'll get on your back there.
Of course, Johnny Gomes initially broke in with Tampa Bay, had an outstanding rookie of the year, rookie season, got a number of rookie of the year votes, and then saw his playing time diminish as he struggled offensively. Began the year in AAA for the Reds and has put together a very solid season in limited playing time. In fact, this month, 6 home runs, 16 runs batted in. Gomes a 3-hit night last night with a couple of RBIs, including a home run to right center field.
He'll be a free agent at the end of the year. I mean, that's something that the Reds have to. You know, do they bring him back? You know, he has, as you mentioned, done a nice job.
In the air, out of play, first base side. I mean, Gomes is the kind of guy who wants to play regularly. You know, he's really hammered left-handed pitching throughout his entire career. He's gotten better against the right-handers this year. I mean, he's really had a good year. 16 home runs, 40 runs batted in, and really about half the number of at-bats that guys would have at this point in the year that play regularly. Runner goes, and it's in the air, short center. The air coming hard, inning over. 1 man left. 10-2. Dodgers lead 4-0, and we're back to Cincinnati after a word from your local Fox station. The Dodgers with 2 runs in the first, 2 more in the second, and here they come in the third with the heart of the order. Manny Ramirez, Matt Kemp, and James Loney. First pitch swinging is Ramirez, down a strike. Back in the first inning, a 2-run home run.
Pops this out to right field. As we mentioned, the ball seems to be carrying out there, but Manny doesn't care. Neither do the Dodger fans.
Of course, Ramirez suspended for 50 games earlier this season after testing positive for a banned substance, according to the agreement between Major League Baseball and the Players Association. So Ramirez today playing in just his 77th game. 14 home runs and 48 runs batted in.
And again, while the production may not have been there in the last month or so, you know, he's the type of guy that even though he's not producing, the presence accounts for something. I mean, you look at what Andre Ethier has done when Manny's in the lineup. He's been dominating. So that's why, you know, when you're breaking down Manny or trying to analyze him, what's his impact and is he hitting? Is he, you know, you've got to look at what other guys do with him in the lineup. I mean, when Rafael Furcal is hitting well, that doesn't change the way guys are pitching to other players or anything like that. But you know, Manny impacts others just by being in the lineup.
Well, the home run in the first inning today is the first time in 16 games that Ramirez is homered. The last time was August the 11th against Brandon Metters of the Giants. In fact, he'd gone 7 straight games without an extra base hit.
Yeah. All right, something 15 games, only 2 RBIs. I mean, that, you know, middle of the lineup guy.
And he's gone swinging to lead off the Dodger third. First strikeout for Maloney.
This looks like that slider cutter in to the right-handed hitter. The thing just bearing in, and Manny pulling out just a little bit, head out. You know, again, just because he did hit the home run to right and it got out, that doesn't mean he's out of anything. That just means that the ball made it over the right field fence.
Kemp, a ground ball to Giannis. The sure-handed rookie throws out Kemp for the second out of the inning. Giannis is a slick defender. Dusty Baker made the comment the other day, and again we brought up earlier how much he will hit remains to be seen. But Dusty Baker believes if he was a regular player, he'd win the Gold Glove at shortstop in the National League every year.
He's just smooth. I mean, the play he made last night against Orlando Hudson, speedy second baseman, came in, barehanded the ball, threw Hudson out by a couple of steps. I mean, very polished defender.
Of course, the shortstop position here at Cincinnati, well manned for, you know, almost 3 decades. When you think about Dave Concepcion, of course, who many believe should be in baseball's Hall of Fame. Great defender, and the outstanding offensive numbers he put up in his career. And then, of course, the captain and Cincinnati native Barry Larkin for almost 20 years, the Reds' regular shortstop.
Well, remember, those guys were doing it on AstroTurf, you know, which some would argue is more difficult, some would argue easier.
Kemp gone swinging on a high fastball, and Maloney a perfect third. First scoreless inning for Maloney. Reds trail the Dodgers 4-0. is the home of Gillette, after that company was purchased a couple of years ago by Procter & Gamble, which is headquartered right here in Cincinnati. Bottom of the third inning, and the Dodgers out to a 4-0 lead. There are so many Boston Red Sox fans that really have invaded Cincinnati the last number of years. That one blasted down the line, and that is a home run by Craig Tatum. Tatum, his first hit in his last 23 at-bats. And he homers off the knuckleballer to get Cincinnati on the board. It's a 4-1 game.
Knuckleball just hangs, and sometimes when it hangs, that's when the hitters get a hold of it. Only the third home run that Charlie Hager has given up. One to Pujols, another to Rick Ankiel, and now this one. You know, and that's the thing about a knuckleball. That's why you don't want to walk a lot of guys, because again, you put guys on base and then you hang one and you get that knuckleball up in the air, and guys hit those things. They can go a long way.
So Tatum, his first home run this season after being brought up from the minor leagues. Matt Maloney, meanwhile, down a couple of strikes. Reds came back 3 days ago from 4-0 down in Milwaukee to win. And for Tatum, congratulations to him, his first major league home run. Hit sharply down to Loney, and that's out number 1 in the Reds' third inning.
See the little guy grabbing that ball. See if somebody goes out there and tries to trade him for that ball. Get it for Craig Tatum, his first big league home run. Typical to trade a bat or a jersey or a signed piece of memorabilia.
Well, you know, that little guy's going back to school on Monday. I'm sure a lot of his friends are probably watching the game right now, but if not, he'll go back to school on Monday and he will be demand. And the right field line off the bat of Stubbs, and that bends out of play. It's a ball and a strike on Drew Stubbs, who struck out his first time up. Stubbs, a #1 pick for the Reds out of the University of Texas, a 3-time All-American, also a 2-time academic All-American. A first-round pick 3 years ago, and for the first time in the major leagues as of a couple of weeks ago. Three and 2 on Drew Stubbs. Now, we mentioned Stubbs and what an outstanding defensive player he is, and his base stealing prowess, and we're going to find out about that right now. Drew Stubbs had 46 stolen bases at AAA before he was brought to the major leagues, and you know, you figure against a knuckleballer he will be running very early in this at bat to Paul Janisch.
Yeah, if you steal bases, these are obviously opportunities that come few and far between. Got a knuckleball pitcher, throws predominantly knuckleballs, doesn't mess around with a curveball or fastball often, and he just got to run here.
And there he goes. Pitch taken inside, and no chance to get him for Brad Ausmus. Stubbs, his first major league stolen base last night, and number 2 today.
Well, you see, it's just ready, set, go. Here we go. And not a lot you can do with it. You know, we talk about, you know, earlier why there aren't so many knuckleball pitchers, and you know that's one of the main reasons right there is, you know, you can't stop the running game.
Well, now the Dodgers going to make sure they have somebody that pays attention to Stubbs out there at second. He has an enormous lead as it's 2-0 now to Paul Janisch. Reds have been awful all season long, batting with runners in scoring position, dead last at 240. But in the last 2 games, they're 9 for 16, including 4 hits here last night. 3-0 now to Giannis. Joey Votto waits in the on-deck circle. Here's a 3-0 to Giannis. And a fastball strike. That ball hammered into left field, and this might get out of here. It does. Paul Giannis, a 2-run home run, and all of a sudden that 4-0 lead is down to 1.
So we talk about staying in control, and that means you've got to get ahead of the count. Here in this situation, he was 3-0, throws a fastball, and then throws a slider right there that all it does is spin. You know, and that's something that Charlie Hager in his previous two starts did not have many 3-1, 2-0 counts. Thus, he could always stay with the knuckleball. Here in this situation, he gets 3-0. He's got to throw a fastball, 3-1. You don't want to walk a guy like Giannis. Boom, you spin one up there. 2-run shot.
Giannis' first home run this season, second home run of his major league career. So a pair of home runs here in the Reds' third inning. One by Tatum, the other by Giannis, and it's a 1-run ball game. A ball and a strike to Joey Votto. Struck out swinging his first time up. Brandon Phillips waiting in the on-deck circle, hoping Votto's aboard when he steps up there, and he will be aboard. Into the right field corner. Kemp with a great arm, but Votto will coast into second base with a double. Third extra base hit of the inning. Brandon Phillips kind enough to wear a microphone for us. The man loves to talk. Our Fox sounds of the game.
That's my first time facing him, but Wakefield, I hit him good, but this dude, that last knuckleball he threw me, that thing was dirty. That thing hurt my heart. My feelings got hurt after that last knuckleball. I thought I hit it. The next thing you know, I didn't even touch it. You know something wrong when you swing the bat and you still see the ball go across your back. I swung, the ball was on top of my back.
Hey, let me try the ball one. Let me see how.
Try to butt when your back go like this.
How can you ball?
You would try that. You would be the one to try it. Oh my gosh, that would be the funniest crap.
We thank Brandon Phillips for wearing that microphone today. I mean, you put a microphone on Phillips and you put another one on Orlando Hudson.
Oh, you don't need us.
No, you don't. That's for sure. They are two great personality young men, and they're good guys.
Yep.
They're good guys off the field. They represent themselves and their franchises and their families so well. So here's Phillips with a tying run at second base. Ball one.
You know, it's almost a situation where as a hitter you go up there, you just hope that Hager gets behind in the count, and then you sit on the fastball or slider. You know, it's almost as if you challenge him to say, look, I'm going to take right now until you throw at least strike one and maybe even strike two. Because again, he hasn't shown great control with the knuckleball early in the game.
Novato out there at second base is a guy the Reds believe will steal more bases as his career moves on. He's had as many as 24 in a minor league season. Here's a 1-1, and that one's fouled away. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Dodgers have action in their bullpen. You mentioned the name earlier. Right-hander Jeff Weaver begins to throw.
See Joe Torre.
He's used that bullpen a lot.
Well, he's had to. I mean, the reality is that the starters, at least at the beginning of the year, weren't going very deep.
Still 1-2 to Phillips. And really the guy who is considered to be their ace, who started and lost the game here last night, Chad Billingsley. I mean, he's been a guy because of pitch inefficiency that, you know, all of a sudden is having to come out of games pretty much after 6 innings. Practically every start. 1-2 on Brandon Phillips, tying run at second. And we'll do it again at 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Well, really 2 guys on the staff that, you know, the potential 1-2 guys, Chad Billingsley, Clayton Kershaw, you know, have had elevated pitch counts, and it happens earlier than a lot of people would like. But both great arms, both great talents.
Back up the middle, and that's into center field, and this game is tied up. Reds have scored 4 runs here in the 3rd.
Well, this ball up in the zone, and you know, it's that old adage, if it's high, let it fly. If it's low, let it go. This ball up, breaks a little bit down. He's excited. Thank you. Thank you for letting that ball hit my bat.
Well, that's going to be all for Charlie Hager. Joe Torre will give the ball to Jeff Weaver. A 4-4 game in the 3rd. We're back to Cincinnati in a moment. 2 innings did Charlie Hager, only allowed 1 base runner. But here in the 3rd, he's given up 4 runs, 4 hits, including a walk. And he will watch as now the veteran right-hander Jeff Weaver takes over to replace him.
Well, and Weave's been one of the pleasant surprises for this Dodger ball club this year. He's signed as a minor league free agent, comes to camp just with an invite, does well, doesn't start the season with the ball club, but has done a great job, has had 7 spot starts this year, and in those starts he's got an ERA of just above 3. Very versatile.
Well, Scott Rowland, the first man to face him. Rowland bounced out 2 for a call his first time up. Got to keep an eye on Phillips. He likes to run. 20 steals on the year, and Weaver will watch it.
No, I hated that as a first baseman. Pitcher just turn and throw as hard as he can over there. You know, I mean, it's tough to see, especially in a day game. You have the fans in the background, and then you got a guy that's, I don't even know how far away, trying to throw 100 miles an hour.
I don't know if anywhere could be worse for a first baseman than Denver, Colorado.
That's the worst. The sun. The sun is right there. Al Helton hasn't worn a Rawlings right on his forehead in his career there. It's baffling.
In their fastball strike, Rowland 3 for 6 in his career against Weaver. Of course, Jeff had a chance to oppose his younger brother Jared back on June the 20th in Anaheim, and he beat his brother, tossing 5 innings of 1-run baseball, 1-1 to Rowland. You and I saw his brother a couple of weeks back on that Saturday afternoon. He pitched a good ball game.
Yeah, the Angels picking up another pitcher the other day, Scott Kazmir from Tampa Bay.
I was really surprised when hearing about that deal. Were you surprised?
Well, no, I wasn't surprised in that, you know, I knew Tampa Bay had kind of run its course as far as being patient with him. They'd done a lot of things. They just didn't feel like, you know, they got the most out of him. You see the starts, 144 starts with Tampa Bay. And ERA, you know, under 4. You say, wow. But he has struggled this year. You know, maybe just a change of scenery.
Off the glove for a call, and everybody's safe. I'm sure that'll be scored a hit for Rowland.
Just a shot up the middle right here. Really a nice job by Phillips in running the bases. You know, he was off far enough where he could still get to second base, but not off too far where in case he had to get back. You see, boom, boom. Oh, read it, oh, and go. You know, a lot of guys, when it's hit, you know, and rightfully so, would have probably just froze right away because the ball didn't get that far away from for call. Would have probably been thrown out second, but a nice job by Phillips.
Well, here's Ballantine trying to give his team its first lead of the game. Swing and a miss on a breaking ball. He missed that by 3 feet.
Yeah, if you've never faced Jeff Weaver and it's your first time, it's a real treat because and I mean that sarcastically, he's throwing from all different arm angles. He changes speeds on the same pitch, you know, slider 81, slider 87, sidearm, overhand.
In the air, left field. Ramirez is there and misplayed it. Did he catch it? He caught it. In snow cone fashion, Ramirez able to get it before it hit the grass.
Well, that's his second ball hit out there now, and he's had real trouble judging the ball. You know, one that he had to move back on real quick, and that ball right there looked like it was hit harder. Ball was hit off the end of the bat. Tough for an outfielder. The swing looked like it would carry to him, but ball obviously not hit squarely.
That ends a string of 5 straight Reds to reach safely. 2 away in the inning, 2 on, 4 runs home, a 4-4 game, and there's a 9th man to bat in the inning, Johnny Gomes. And he takes a fastball from Weaver down and in.
And you see, that's the view that Manny has. He's got the glare, he's got the fans. You know, not easy to play in day games, just especially when you're accustomed to playing at night. The eyesight, the vision. You know, that's why you don't get many guys that'll tell you, oh yeah, I love to play day games. You're not accustomed to them, and again, it presents a lot of different problems with the sun, the shadows, people in the stands with white shirts usually.
2-0 to Johnny Gomes. He's been very good in these situations this season for the Reds. And a fastball is taken inside. 3 balls and no strikes. Now Gomes has not been in a lot of 3-0 counts this year because he is, as they say in baseball, a hacker. He likes swinging the bat. So you don't really know if he likes hitting 3-0, but if there was ever a time to turn a guy loose 3-0, if he likes to hit 3-0, this would be the time. And he was taking all the way. I mean, you have a guy in the on-deck circle who, yes, has homered in this inning, but it was his first hit in 23 at-bats. And Gomes is a guy that's done a lot of damage so far this season. He'll come out of his shoes if this is in the strike zone. And Weaver, guy who's been around the block a time or two, flips up a 3-1 breaking ball.
Well, and that's why you made a great point on the 3-0 pitch that you know you're going to get a fastball 3-0, but now all bets are off, and you know that may have been the best pitch that you were going to have an opportunity to hit. You know, you've got to guess breaking ball here, probably from some side angle.
Bouncing ball left side, fielded by Loretta, and the inning is over. But the Reds send 9 men to the plate. They get a couple of home runs. A leadoff blast by Tatum, 2-run home run by Giannis, and tie the game at 4. And tag, and by Chevy. We begin anew at the end of 3. Dodgers with 2 in the first, 2 in the second for a 4-0 lead. The Reds score 4 to tie it against Charlie Hager in the third. Looks like Brandon Phillips might be suffering from some kind of cramp in his right calf, as Mark Loretta leads off the inning, and it's in the air to center field, and that's the first out. Caught up with Dusty Baker in between innings, and through all the injuries and all the young players, his team right now playing the best baseball it's played in quite some time, right?
Yeah, they have, and guys don't make any excuses or alibis. It's giving a lot of young guys chances to play, and they're responding. We're playing good baseball, especially the last week.
So you've seen Matt Maloney. Is the sinker working? Is he keeping guys off balance, or what are you seeing?
Well, early in the game, the sinker wasn't working. He's getting those balls up, but the last inning or two, it is working. He's just throwing a cutter on the inside to keep him honest away from the outside part of the plate. So perhaps he was a little psyched up and amped over, I think, early. That's what happens, especially with young pitchers early in the ball game, when they have trouble keeping the ball down.
Dusty, any way to explain, have you ever seen like the injury bug that's hit your team this season?
Well, yeah, a couple times. I don't know which one was worse. I remember '96 with the Giants, and then my last year, 2006 in Chicago. So, but the thing about it, we do have pretty good minor league depth here, and like I said, our guys have responded. When you got guys like Giannis and Tatum, and these guys playing good baseball, Johnny Gomes has come through. Valentin's playing well, and I tell you, we just got some guys that are hungry and ready to play.
Dusty, thanks for the time. Good luck.
All right, see you guys.
So one thing about the Reds organization, they very much like their future as far as minor league players are concerned, and guys on the way up within probably another year of being here regularly. And then you start down in that rotation if you can get Edinson Volquez back from the Tommy John surgery. Johnny Cueto will come off the disabled list and pitch day after tomorrow for the Reds. They like the makings of their rotation with Homer Bailey to go along with veterans Aaron Harang and Bronson Arroyo.
Well, and that's the thing, though, that there's a lot of ifs, and that's what separates your large market clubs and your small market. If all of those things happen, then sure, the Reds will be competitive. They will be, battlers for the Central.
Hudson gone swinging. It's 5 in a row now retired by Maloney.
But that's a lot of ifs that have to become realities.
Well, all this season you can stay connected to Major League Baseball on Fox by following us on Twitter. Go to twitter.com/MLB on Fox. Also now on MySpace and Facebook is Fox Sports. So you get breaking news, notes, video clips, and more. Go to myspace.com/Fox Sports or Facebook.com/Fox Sports and join in on the fun. Matt Maloney having a little fun. 6 up and 6 down over the last 2 innings. So the Reds are right back to the plate. Game, bottom of inning number 4. Jeff Weaver on in relief of Charlie Hager, who allowed 4 hits and 4 runs in that 3rd inning. Weaver came on to get the final 2 outs of the inning. But Tatum, Maloney, then Stubbs for Dusty Baker's team. Tatum led off the 3rd inning with a home run to left field. First pitch swinging, a 3-hopper, 2 for a call, 1 pitch, 1 out. Caught up with Joe Torre in between innings and asked him, are you worried about this struggling offense?
Well, I know it's there. I mean, you know, we played very well for a long period of time, so I know it's there. I think, you know, Manny's struggled somewhat, and everybody's trying to pick up the slack, and you know, puts a little extra pressure on him, and I think everybody else is getting a little impatient. But I think over the long haul, what they're supposed to do is what they're going to do, and I look for better offensive days ahead.
Chad Billingsley, not a great outing. Charlie Hager, you know, a few innings here. Starting pitching still a concern?
Well, that's the thing you worry about, Derek. There's no question about it. You know, you can't end the game, and you know, unless you get people out. And you know, we've been very fortunate with our 5th starting spot, because I think we've won 20 games or some crazy thing like that. You know, out of that spot. So you know, we're going to piece it together. Our bullpen's been really good. But again, you know, this is a tough one right now. You know, we're 4 runs up, and now all of a sudden it's a tie game, so we have to have Weaver hold us right there.
Joe, thanks for the time. Best of luck.
Thanks, guys.
Of course, Joe Torre, when he comes here to Cincinnati, I mean, it's like, you know, a family reunion. Only it's his wife's Allie family reunion. She is from Cincinnati and has an enormous family. In fact, when they first got married, they were living here for a while, and he has been a very, very busy man, and always is when he comes back to Cincinnati. Three and one on the pitcher, Matt Maloney. You and I were talking before the game, Eric. I still can't believe, it's not a knock on the Dodgers. It's certainly not a knock on our good friend Joe Girardi, but I still cannot believe that Joe Torre is no longer manager of the New York Yankees. I mean, they go to 12 straight postseasons as Maloney bangs one into center field, and that's a base hit for Matt Maloney. And he won 90 or more games 11 times in a 12-year span.
Yeah, a lot of success, no question about it. But I think, you know, just with a lot of things, you know, after a while, you know, you start to grow tired of one another. And I think it probably worked both ways. But you can't argue with the success. I mean, you know, Torre going to the Hall of Fame as a manager. The success he's had here in L.A. And he's had to manage here in L.A., let me tell you.
Bunted up the third base line and electing to let it roll was Loretta, and wisely so.
Smart veteran play there. Loretta knows that he's got no chance, and the only hope he has is for the ball to roll foul. You know, sometimes, especially the younger guys with the real strong arms or the very athletic guys, think that they can come in and make that play. Because it's so difficult, you have a runner like Stubbs, you have to know the hitter ahead of time. Just have to not let your ego get in the way. You let that thing roll foul.
0-1 to Drew Stubbs. And that went all the way to the backstop, and Maloney on to second base.
Weaver dropping down and coming across his body and just cuts it too much, gets away from Osmus.
Reds have never led in this game. They fell behind 2-0 in the first, 4-0 in the second before scoring 4 times in the third. And it's 2-1 on Drew Stubbs. In the air down the right field line and slicing out of play. 2-2. Weaver among the most deliberate workers in all of baseball. Seemingly circles the mound after every pitch. Now he's back on the rubber and set to deliver a 2-2 pitch to Drew Stubbs. Stubbs walked, stole a base, and scored in the 4-run third inning. That's a foul ball.
As you mentioned, Weaver very deliberate, takes his time. You know, and while that's great for him and it works for him, you know, the issue becomes, you know, how do the fielders respond? When you're out there in the infield, it's a lot of standing around. I can tell you as a former infielder, you like those guys that just get the ball, get on the mound, and go. Here you got time to pick your nails, look at the stands, take a deep breath, take another deep breath.
Swing and a miss on a breaking ball for the second out of the inning. Well, 2 weeks from tomorrow, September the 13th, the season begins with a Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. The Cowboys and the Buccaneers are Brett Favre and the Vikings taking on the Cleveland Browns. Others will see Philly and Carolina, Detroit and New Orleans, and the Redskins and the Giants. Others, the 49ers and the Cardinals, and the Rams and the Seahawks. Coverage gets underway September the 13th with America's #1 pregame show, noon Eastern, 9 Pacific.
Where are you that weekend?
I have Brett Favre's Minnesota Vikings debut up in Cleveland, Ohio.
Nothing to talk about that game.
Not much at all. No. Be with Brian Billick, former Super Bowl winning head coach of the Baltimore Ravens. Looking forward to seeing Brett Favre. I know he's become a pincushion, for lack of a better term, for a lot of fans and a lot in the media. You know, but the bottom line is, Eric, I mean, I don't know if you feel any different. You know, if the guy wants to play, then go play.
Yeah, it's really irrelevant what we think or what the media thinks.
Of course, now all the waiting around and maybe leading a team on and that kind of thing, people can.
But how does that impact your life?
Not even a little.
Exactly, my
Not
point.
even a little.
Does it create a schism?
No, it doesn't.
Exactly.
I wasn't losing sleep over Sugar Ray Leonard coming out of retirement, or Evander Holyfield, or anybody for that matter. It's amazing how worked up everybody got about Brett Favre. But he's with the Vikings now, and hopefully we'll see him on September the 13th right here on Fox. Reds have a lead run out at second base with 2 away, 2-1 to Giannis. And that's fouled out of play first base side. 2-2. Giannis, the 2-run home run to left field in the third inning. Wind has really picked up and blowing out towards right center field. I mean, it is really blowing. You saw Manny Ramirez's jersey. Ramirez had some help from the wind on that 2-run home run to right field in the first inning. Swing and a miss, inning over. We play 4. We're tied at 4 at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. 4-4 game. Matt Maloney to face Jeff Weaver to begin the Dodger fifth. Reds have come back from trailing 4-0 at the end of 3, or at the end of 2, and scored 4 runs to tie it in the third. And Maloney certainly has gotten things turned around. He allowed 4 runs on 6 hits in the first 2 innings, and since has retired all 6 batters that he has faced.
Well, you know, and Dusty Baker mentioned, you know, maybe he had the adrenaline going in that first inning and, you know, left some pitches up in the zone. Then, as you mentioned, Tom, in the second inning, you know, he gave up hits that just found parts of the field where nobody was. It wasn't like the Dodgers were hitting the heck out of the ball. No, all in all, he's pitched pretty darn well.
Breaking ball is in there for strike 3 called, and that's 4 strikeouts over the last 2 1/3 innings. Well, each and every week we raise support and awareness to the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research, dedicated to finding a cure for Parkinson's through an aggressive research program. To learn more, please visit michaeljfox.org. We're very proud to say that in all the sports that we carry here on Fox Sports, Major League Baseball, the National Football League, NASCAR, and the BCS of college football, all of us vote on various charities for each sport, and we certainly hope that we've helped increase your awareness for each of our 4 charities. For a call, a fly ball down the right field line, and this baby will sail out of here. We talked about the wind blowing out towards right field, and that's a routine pop-up that carries into the Dodger bullpen to make it 5-4 LA. Wow.
Well, his first time up, he hit a fly ball to right that Johnny Gomes caught at the fence. You know, this ball, although it wasn't hit great, it was hit hard enough, and it was up in the zone. Got the ball up in the air, and the thing just carried.
So the Dodgers right back on top. There's strike 1 to Juan Pierre. For call, his 7th home run of the season. And the first home run for him since August the 5th. Going to be a tough play here for Giannis. Throws and got him. Bang, bang play. We talked about what an outstanding defensive player Giannis is. He turns in another beauty here.
But he does a number of things well. First, the way he comes in after the ball. Then the transfer from the glove to the throwing hand. And then being able to make a strong, accurate throw while on the move. And he did 3 or 4 things excellent in that situation. You see him get the transfer, a good, strong throw. Gets the speedy Pierre.
Now Manny Ramirez, who homered to right field with a man aboard his first time up, struck out against Maloney in the 3rd.
But you can see Manny shaking his head right there. And, you know, he's off balance. He's not staying back. And even when he takes pitches, you know, he doesn't feel right.
And looks at a fastball right down the middle.
Well, and that's the thing. The timing is not there. And that is one of the most helpless feelings as a hitter. I mean, to be indecisive up at the plate.
Straight away center field. This will end the inning, but not before a fly ball down the right field line lands in the Dodger bullpen off the bat of Rafael for a call. Scrub body wash, a powerful clean without dry skin. Just a splendid Saturday here in Cincinnati. And a 5-4 game with the Dodgers in front as the Reds bat in the bottom of the 5th inning against Jeff Weaver, who took over with 1 out in the 3rd. And there's a rocket into right field off the bat of Votto. He's 2 for 3 today. All right, let's take a look at our Gillette trivia question today. Name the power hitting player who holds the Reds' career record for RBIs against the Dodgers. And of course, back in the 1970s, this was the undisputed best rivalry in all of baseball. I mean, 2 of the great teams. Forget the National League West when they both play in the NL West. They were 2 of the best teams in Major League Baseball. Days of the Big Red Machine, and of course the Dodgers won a couple of World Series in that decade as well. I mean, this was pre-wild card days for a lot of you folks out there that maybe you've just grown accustomed to the wild card. You'd have a second place team in the NL West, whether it be the Dodgers or the Reds, that would win 95, 96, 97 games and not go to the playoffs.
Yeah, I remember growing up in San Diego, we'd make the trek up to Dodger Stadium for the Dodgers-Red series. And you mentioned arguably the 2 best teams in baseball playing in the same division
for nearly a decade.
Yep.
That ball hammered into left field by Brandon Phillips. That'll one-hop the wall. Votto makes a turn, and Ramirez can't find the ball. And limping into second base is Phillips. We showed you he appeared to be cramping up earlier. And it looked like when he hit first base, he began to cramp up again. And were it not for Ramirez bobbling the ball out there, Phillips would have stayed at first base.
Well, you see this ball off of the wall, then Manny again just gets it. He's going to flip it in. Now, see, he doesn't field it cleanly, and because of that, as you mentioned, Phillips gets into second base without even looking. See, you see Weave, he's calling for it. He's saying, darn it. Now, Phillips didn't exactly get out of the box too quick, so he didn't have any aspirations of getting to second base until Manny ends up dropping that ball.
Phillips still looks like he's stiff-legged out there at second base. Well, the Reds in business here in the 5th inning. They scored that a straight double, but that had single and error written all over it.
Well, again, you know, if Phillips is healthy and he's not favoring the leg, it's an easy double. But because he's favoring the leg, absolutely right. Should have been a single and an error.
Fouled away, 0-2 on Scott Rowland. The Reds made the deal for Rowland, acquiring him from Toronto with the expectation, A, that he would be the player he's been throughout his entire career. And boy, he's been a great player for a long time. But the Reds feel like with so many young players, you alluded to earlier, they needed a guy to become the leader of this team. And Rowland has always been one of those, no matter where he's played. He grew up just down the Ohio River in Jasper, Indiana. So he used to come to Cincinnati and watch a lot of Reds games. His family would go to St. Louis, watch a lot of Cardinal games.
But you talk about Rowland, he leads by example. He's not the rah guy. He's not, hey, let's go, man, we're gonna. But the way he plays the game, the way he prepares each and every day, you know, the young guys can learn from him just by watching him.
One and two to Rowland. His team down a run, but runners at second and third with none out here in the 5th. And he's hitting the back. Of course, that beats getting hit in the head. And that's what happened to Rowland. Initially, after joining the Reds, he got hit in the head by Jason Marquis and wound up on the DL.
Well, this ball just bearing in, and the only good thing about it is the way Rowland takes that pitch. closes that left shoulder, turns his back to the ball, kind of ducks his head. The right way to take a pitch.
We talked about Roland getting hit by Jason Marquis, his longtime teammate, when Colorado was in town a month ago, right after the trade. Roland wound up being sent to the hospital, had a concussion, and suffered from blurred vision. They were waiting on him to put him on the DL, thinking it might be, 3, 4, 5 days. He just never got better. And he was just activated last Sunday, and the Reds had not lost a game since he was activated. They won 5 in a row.
Now, was it his activation, or was it Jay Bruce taking the lineup card to the plate? This is the 6th time today. They've won 5 straight. So what is it? Is it the coming back from the concussion? Is it the?
It's a very good question.
Or is it just the good baseball out there on the field?
Very good question. They are loaded for Vladimir Valentin with nobody out. Valentin figures to be exactly what Weaver would look for in this situation. A free swinger, and that breaking ball, unless he hangs it, could give Valentin some problems.
Yeah, you got free swinger, you have a young hitter, you have, wow, the bases are loaded, I'm going to make my mark, I'm going to be aggressive, and Weaver will try to use that aggressiveness against him.
0-2.
Wow. See, that's what you get as a hitter. He's saying, okay, you know what, I'm going to be patient right here. I'm going to take a pitch. And this is a slider. This thing's a good 4 inches off the plate.
And 2 on Vladimir Valentin with the bases loaded and nobody out. Breaking ball off the plate. Tough to tell whether Dusty's getting on Laz Diaz or trying to urge his young hitter to forget about it. Ground ball, and to the plate to get the lead runner is for a call. That's a nice play. 1 out, base is still loaded.
That is a nice play, and infielders have in their mind what they're going to do prior to the ball being hit. Furcal says to himself, if it's a high chopper, if I can get a good hop, then maybe I'll go home. This ball hit directly at him. He's moving towards home plate, makes a good throw. Brad Ausmus just making sure he's going to get one. He's going to get the play at the plate. Not worried about trying to catch it and then throw it down to first. Just making sure of one. Now hoping to get a double play in this situation.
Well, here's Johnny Gomes. He's 0 for 2, has popped out to short center and bounced out to third. Gomes has been the hottest hitter in this Reds lineup this month. He's down a strike.
You see, as a hitter right now, and it's very easy to fall into the trap of trying to be the hero. But all you want to do right now is just be patient. Just look to hit the ball the other way. And again, that's where you have to battle your ego. Ego says, oh, I'm going to man up and go deep. Where you need to be patient and disciplined in this situation.
Oh, and 2 on Gomes, just like it was on Valentin.
This is where you're 0-2. You almost have to spread out, widen your stance a little bit, move a little closer to the plate. Just feel like you're just trying to shoot the ball out to right center. Not only do you adjust at bat to at bat, but sometimes you adjust pitch to pitch as a hitter.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Johnny Gomes. Weaver wanted that fastball called strike 3 and didn't get it.
I think Weaver's got a few pitches from Laz Diaz, and that was better than a few of the pitches that Laz had called a strike. Still think it was off the plate. You can tell that's where Weaver wants to get the hitters out, the outside part of the plate.
2-2 to Gomes. Reds down a run. And a high pop-up will not get the job done for the Reds. Infield fly rule in effect here. And after having them loaded with nobody out, they're loaded now with 2 men out.
Always frustrating as a hitter when, you know, whether it's bases loaded or you come up with a man on third, nobody out, because you feel like, look, that's a free RBI out there. It's a free run for our ball club. All I've got to do is make contact. But remember, just as the hitter, all you have to do is you're trying to just get a base hit or something. That pitcher's out there trying to get you out. Sometimes the pitcher makes good pitches.
0-1 to Tatum. Tatum ended an 0 for 22 stretch with a home run down the left field line to start that 4-run third.
Now I'm betting this at bat he's not going to see any knuckleballs. And that's what he drove out of the park. Just going to be a constant diet of sliders and pitches the outer half of the zone.
In the air up the third base line. Wynn may bring this back. And a sliding attempt by Ramirez in foul ground. And no one able to get there.
Well, you see not a lot of foul territory over there. And Manny sliding so he doesn't run right into the wall. I think Weaver goes out of the zone here in the outer half of the plate. You know, since he hit Scott Rowland with that fastball inside, he hasn't felt comfortable with his control going back inside. Expect Osmus to be off the plate a couple inches on the outer half of the plate.
Nothing in 2 on Tatum. Struck him out, and Weaver behind the 8 ball had him loaded with none out. Retires 3 in a row without a run scoring to keep it a 5-4 Dodger lead. By DirecTV. Follow your favorite team no matter where you live with NFL Sunday Ticket on DirecTV. By Miller High Life, good honest beer at a tasty price. And by Catawet. Alongside Eric Karros and our entire Fox crew, Tom Brenneman back at Great American Ballpark, where Jeff Weaver just escaped a bases loaded, nobody out jam in the Reds' 5th inning to maintain a 5-4 Dodger lead as they bat against rookie left-hander Matt Maloney here in the 6th inning. Well, it's time to answer our Gillette Power Trivia question. Name the power hitting player who holds the Reds' career record for RBIs against the Dodgers. Johnny Lee Bench, 131 of them in his career against the Dodgers. And of course, he spent his entire career here. That one blistered into left field off the bat of Kemp. And he's aboard to start the Dodgers' 6th inning. Of course, Johnny Bench now splits his time between Cincinnati and Palm Springs, California. See him at the ballpark quite a bit, still works in the Reds organization. Kemp has 28 stolen bases, has only been thrown out 6 times. And it's ball 1 to James Loney.
Well, Kemp arguably one of the best athletes in all of Major League Baseball. He's having a great year. You know, the power is there. He's hitting for an average. You know, the maturity just from last year to this year has been tremendous.
Well, I tell you, it's amazing how many people, and Eric, you heard more of them than I did. I wish I had a nickel for every time somebody that follows the Dodgers on a regular basis or watches the team play told me they never thought Kemp would be this kind of player.
Well, I think athletically people felt that he had it in him. But I said from a maturity standpoint, you know, the strides that he's made just in the last year, you know, have really improved his game both on and off the field. And, you know, I think a lot of that has to do with Casey Blake, his arrival last year. I mean, believe it or not, he and Casey Blake spend a lot of time together. Casey Blake has had a huge influence on Matt Kemp. The way he prepares for a game, the way he treats the game. And remember, you know, Matt Kemp, he's still a young player. 24 years old. You know, a lot of guys are just getting their first year under their belt. He's been around for a few years.
2-1 pitch in the dirt. Can you really quantify what it means for a young player to have that kind of relationship with a guy like Casey Blake?
I'm not sure you can quantify that. You know, you can't break it down. And look, what may work for one player doesn't work for another. And, you know, sometimes you bring in veteran players into a clubhouse and they just don't mix with the younger players. They don't mesh. But Casey Blake has been great.
There's a walk. Matt Kemp does a lot more than just play baseball. And swinging the bat, he can also run him down in the outfield. And we know what kind of year he's putting together offensively. Already career highs with 19 home runs, 80 runs batted in, closing in on 30 stolen bases. Of course, the Dodgers have a number of real good young players that all of a sudden aren't inexperienced anymore.
No, they're still young players, but you can't call them, as you mentioned, inexperienced. They've got playoffs under their belt. They've got a few years in the big leagues. You know, I think another thing that you know, Ned Coletti is the general manager. One of the things that he's done over the last few years, you see Andre Ethier leads the team in home runs and RBI. But Ned Coletti has been able to keep all of these young players, you know, while making deals with other teams. Anytime that a team wants to make a trade with the Dodgers, there's always clamor. Hey, I want a Matt Kemp, or I want a Kershaw, I want an Ethier, I want a Loney. He's been able to keep them, and Joe Torre's been able to bring them along.
Two on, nobody out, no sign of a bunt on the first pitch to Mark Loretta. Reds thought maybe Loretta would try to advance the runners with a bunt. He takes a fastball high. 1-1 on Loretta, who has singled, scored, and flied out to center field. In the air down the right field line. Gomes will give it a look, but it's out of play. 1-2.
You know, Tatum reminded Maloney to keep the ball down in the zone. You know, we've seen the ball fly out in right field today. The wind carrying the ball, and where Maloney's been hurt is that pitch up in the zone, out over the plate. You know, you're looking for something that Loretta, for him to roll over. So you're looking for that change up low and away, or you bust that cutter in on the hands.
1-2 to count on Loretta, and there's strike three call. Loretta didn't like it. He thought it was low and away.
Yeah, not so sure about it being away, but the low I absolutely agree with. You know, and anytime you see the catcher pull his glove up, he's telling you that it wasn't a strike. And you see Tatum, he catches the ball low and picks it up. Las Diaz having some dialogue with the Dodger bench right there.
So one away in the inning, and here's a number 7 hitter, Orlando Hudson. Maloney with 5 strikeouts in the game, and now they have the runner Kemp caught. Boy, that is just terrible base running by Kemp. They still have him in the rundown, and he is out. I mean, you ask the question, where in the world are you going?
Well, I think Kemp thought he was going to steal, and in fact he was. You know, he was ready to go. He thought he'd catch Maloney sleeping. Maloney able to turn, and you know, Kemp had already committed, but that turns out, you know, not to be good. But James Loney heads up, gets down to second base. You know, in that situation, though, you can't take away the aggressiveness of Matt Kemp and what he was trying to do. You know, the execution was poor, but it wasn't as if he was just out there and got picked off. It's not as if he was sleeping out there.
One on Orlando Hudson, who singled and scored in the second inning. Carlos Fisher, rookie right-hander, is ready in the Reds bullpen. Hudson struck out his last time up. Kemp still upset with himself down there in the Dodger dugout, talking it over with Juan Pierre. You know, we were talking about these two second basemen winning the last 3 Gold Gloves at the second base position in the National League, and they're so remarkably similar. Not offensively, they're not similar in that regard at all, but defensively incredibly athletic players. But their personalities are just amazingly similar. Very outgoing, as there's ball 4 to Hudson. Extremely likable guys. And I think probably, you know, hearing from one guy and you hear about a guy from another guy, all of a sudden they become very good friends.
Well, both community oriented too, do a lot for their respective ball clubs and their communities.
In fact, earlier today, some inner city kids were brought to the ballpark by the Cincinnati Reds organization by Brandon Phillips, and he asked Orlando Hudson to come along with him to talk to some of those youngsters. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
Phillips has really become the very face of this franchise in this city. He is an unbelievably popular player. And not only for what he does, as you mentioned, on the field, but even more so for off the field. You know, Phillips will be the first to tell you when he first came up with Cleveland, highly touted prospect, that, you know, he was really a little too full of himself and, you know, was a hot dog and really trying to show to everybody that he was going to be this great player. Was originally drafted by Montreal, but came up with Cleveland. And, you know, he learned a hard lesson there. And really, he came here and the Indians all but gave him away. And he is just a delightful young man. His mom and dad are two of the nicest people you'll ever meet. Grew up in Georgia.
Well, and it's one thing to get a wake-up call. It's another thing, you know, to get that wake-up call and then react to it. And that's what he's done. I mean, with his opportunity here in Cincinnati. And as you mentioned, that the Indians basically giving him away.
0-2 on Osmus. 2 on, 2 out, and a fastball is up and in. Casey Blake is standing in the on-deck circle. You have the pitcher spot. Jeff Weaver due up next. And Troncoso getting loose down in the bullpen. Two and two.
Well, I can't believe that, you know, if Maloney does end up walking Osmus or allow him to get the first, that he would face Casey Blake. Casey Blake just dominant against left-handed pitching this year. See Dusty and Dick Pole there.
Well, all of a sudden, after getting ahead 0-2, Osmus has worked the count full, and the runners will get started with 2 men out here in the 6th inning. .95 pitches in the game for Matt Maloney. And here comes the payoff pitch. In the air, should in the inning. Giannis, the shortstop, to the outfield grass. 1 hit, 2 left. Reds bat in the bottom of the 6th inning, trailing the Dodgers by a run.
Stubbs coming up, throwing. The tag by Craig Tatum gets Brad Ausmus at a home plate. That's our Flomax replay of the day. Look at that, almost right there on the lips. Laz Diaz calling him out.
Stubbs will bat second here in the Reds' 6th inning. The Dodgers lead by a run. Weaver came on after the Reds had scored 4 times in a third to chase Charlie Hager. He allowed a hit in that inning, but retired the final 2 batters. Allowed 1 hit to the pitcher Maloney in the 4th. But then in the 5th, the Reds loaded the bases with nobody out, and Weaver got out of it unscathed. So here's Drew Sutton, who will bat for Matt Maloney. Maloney goes 6 innings, allows 8 hits, 5 runs, all earned. Some will say you got to make your own luck. Maloney didn't have much luck on a couple of fly balls to right field. One by Manny Ramirez and a tie-breaking fly ball to right by Furcal that were helped, you know, to a greater or lesser extent by a stiff wind out that way early in the game, and both of them home runs.
Yeah, you know, I thought he threw a pretty darn good ball game. You know, you're going to look at the line score. You're going to see the 2 home runs. Again, as you mentioned, the wind blowing, but got a lot of ground balls today. There weren't a lot of hard hit balls. Pitched out of some jams.
Two and one on Drew Sutton, who came over from Houston 3/4 of the way through spring training for infielder Jeff Keppinger. Keppinger hit a home run last night for the Astros in a loss to Arizona. Two and two to count on Sutton, leading off the Reds' 6th. And there's ball 3. Now Weaver has thrown 53 pitches today out of the bullpen, and you got to wonder how much longer they're going to stay with him. Eric brought up earlier 7 spot starts, but the key word in that sentence, spot. You make a couple in a row, not do it for a while. 3 in a row, not do it for a while. So up over 50 pitches. If you don't do it frequently, it can turn into a big number. He strikes out Sutton on a 3-2 pitch. That's 4 strikeouts for Weaver, the Hyundai in-game box score for the Reds. Part of the order's been pretty good.
Yeah, it really have. You know, Joey Votto, Brandon Phillips. You know, not to take away the big home runs by Paul Yanish and Craig Tatum. You don't expect to get home runs from those 2.
Introducing the all-new 306 horsepower rear-wheel drive Hyundai Genesis Coupe. Ball 1 to Drew Stubbs. 0 for 2, struck out twice, walked, stolen a base, and scored on the Yanish home run in the 3rd inning. Teams have combined for 9 runs, 16 hits. And the Dodgers with a 5-4 lead here in the 6th inning. In the hole at short for a call. What a play by Rafael for a call. Showing off that cannon of an arm. He just threw out a very fast base runner in Drew Stubbs.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, he just made a play deep in the hole and threw out one of the speediest guys on the baseball field. I mean, you look, he's 2 steps back and just wields and throws. You know, he looks like he just threw out one of the Molina brothers or something like that. You know, that's Drew Stubbs motoring down the line. He said, you got to be kidding me. They didn't do that back at Texas.
No. or at AAA. Well, here's Giannis with 2 down and nobody on. I was just starting to make the point because you brought it up earlier. It must take just unbelievable concentration for defenders playing behind Weaver to really be on their toes.
Well, the thing is, you've got to stay involved. You see Steps, he's not even looking. He's hustling all the way down there. Still gets thrown out by a step. But the thing is okay, ball 1, strike 1, walk around the mound.
Into left center field, and this baby will go all the way to the wall. So Giannis has had a good day, a home run, and now a double.
Well, Giannis swinging the bat well today. You know, the glove comes to the park every day with his defense. This pitch just out over the plate, comes back and gets a good part of the play. Giannis just drives it up the middle. You know, but again, defensively, when you're out there, you know, sometimes you get a little heavy on your feet because there's a lot of standing around. And you know, when balls are hit, like the play that Furcal just made, I mean, sometimes guys don't react.
Well, Joe Torre had a decision to make. He had a left-hander getting loose in his bullpen with a base open. Hong-Chi Kuo is ready. Has been up for quite some time. But then Joe, more than likely, he takes a look at all the numbers and he says, all right, Votto against left-handers, how does he do? He hits .330 against left-handers. So he says, all right, we're going to leave Kuo down there. We'll intentionally walk Votto, and we'll let Weaver face Brandon Phillips.
Well, and also remember that next inning, the pitcher's spot does begin the inning. You know, probably will have a pinch hitter. But again, that's a gamble. That's some of that, I should say, not gamble, but the decisions you have as a manager. Here now you're rolling the dice because you want Weaver to be able to, you want to be able to pinch hit for him next inning. You're trying to get him through this inning, but you know, if he doesn't get a few outs here, or get out of it, should say 1 out and get out of this inning, you just compounded your problem.
So a big at bat in this ball game. Granted, we're only in a 6th inning, but the Reds have Brandon Phillips at the plate, 2 for 3 with an RBI today, and a first pitch breaking ball swung on and missed. Strike 1. Weaver, a former #1 draft pick by the Detroit Tigers, going all the way back to 1998. He's won 10 or more 4 times in his career. He's lost 10 or more 7 times in his career. He's ahead of Phillips at 0-2. Pitched for some very bad Detroit teams when he first came up, but has really never lived up to that #1 pick. 93 wins against 114 losses with an ERA of almost 5 in his major league career.
Yeah, never had that dominant year, and you know, arguably though, this year has probably been one of his best years. You know, in the pen, on the mound, starting.
0-2 to Phillips. Fastball, and Weaver wanted that call again. He's tried that pitch a couple of times.
Well, he's bouncing off because he's got that call a few times. I mean, the pitch is not a strike, but Laz Diaz has called that pitch a number of times today. And again, as a player, all you want is consistency.
Well, Phillips 29 RBIs this season. 27 of his 79 have come with 2 men out, and he waits long enough on Weaver. Giannis at second, Votto at first, 2 are out. 2-2. breaking ball is shot to the right side, knocked down by Loney, and he can't find the handle. A rare defensive miscue by Loney, who is a very good defender.
Well, you know, it's a great play, great reaction play, but I'd say the miscue is by Jeff Weaver by not getting over to first. You see immediately he goes to back up home plate. So now James Loney, he's got to try to react quicker. He's trying to hurry because he knows he's got to pick the ball up and race to first base if he's going to get an out. If Jeff Weaver is over covering first base, then Loney probably doesn't try to hurry so much, can grab the ball and just flip it. You see Jeff Weaver immediately going towards home plate. That's where the play breaks down.
Well, Scott Rowland will bat with the bases loaded. Weaver will leave. Troncoso comes on from the bullpen. Reds left them loaded in the fifth. They have them loaded in the sixth, and the Dodgers have a one-run lead. Ball one to Scott Rowland. All this began after two were out. A double by Giannis, an intentional walk to Votto. Phillips with an infield hit on a ball off the glove of James Loney. And a rocket. What a play by Hudson to take away a hit in a Cincinnati lead. The three-time Gold Glove winning second baseman Orlando Hudson. What a play. We're back after a word from your local Fox station. Rookie right-hander Carlos Fisher now takes over for Matt Maloney on the mound, and he's facing the pinch hitter Andre Ethier. Fisher has just had an outstanding rookie season for the Reds. They have a couple of rookie relievers down there that have pitched remarkably well their first seasons in the major leagues. And speaking of putting together a big time year, that is a story on Ethier. Career high in home runs and RBIs. And the Phoenix, Arizona native has put together his best offensive month here in the month of August.
Yeah, he really has. And that's where, we talk about, how guys impact other guys in the lineup. And again, Manny not having the great production, but when he is in the lineup and Andre Ethier is there as well, I mean, Ethier's numbers, they just blow up. I mean, he's been great with Manny in the lineup. And you see that. What interests me, though, is the walks down here. You see how he walks more with Manny in the lineup as opposed to him without. And what that tells me, it's not that guys are just throwing the ball over the plate. It's that he's a much more patient hitter with Manny in the lineup. He doesn't feel like he has to do it all himself. Feels like, look, I'm going to go up there. If I don't do it, then Manny does it. Therefore, more walks, more production, more patience. When Manny's not in the lineup, it's like, hey, I'm going to carry this club. I got to hit everything out of the ballpark. And, that's where he runs into a lot of trouble.
One-two pitch. Fastball high. Remember like it was yesterday when Ethier made his major league debut in his hometown of Phoenix, Arizona. Had a chance to meet his father that night. His father used to throw to his son Andre in the backyard on a daily basis, like a lot of us do to our boys and girls. But when he realized his son was always going to be a left-handed hitter, his father, who threw right-handed, taught himself as an adult how to throw left-handed, so that his son would never be one of those guys that couldn't hit a left-hander. That ball is lined into right and over the head of Gomes. He'll play it up against a wall, and Ethier slides in with a leadoff double. Time now to bring the heat, presented by Taco Bell. Neither starter today going to live much with high velocity.
No, I mean, neither one of these guys are going to blow anybody away. I mean, Charlie Hager, obviously, with the knuckleball. You see that 83, that was probably a slider or fastball. Matt Maloney, he doesn't want to get up there too high. He doesn't want to be throwing 93, 94. He is a guy that wants to keep you off balance, throw that pitch blown away, get some sink on it, some movement. He threw well today.
34 doubles now on the year for Ethier. That's tied for third most in the league. And here's for a call. We're in the seventh inning with the Dodgers in front 5-4. Reds won the opener here last night 4-2. Bunted, and Fisher will look to second and then throw it away. Runner going to second to throw there, and that hit the runner in the back. So how about that? Runners end up at second and third.
Well, a nice job by Fisher when he looks Ethier back. Now, when Ethier is stopped, see, he's turned all the way around like he's going to make a play at third. When he realizes Ethier isn't going anywhere, then he tries to regroup, throw to first. He doesn't do it. And then Phillips throws the ball to second, hits for call in the back. Watch this. Right in the left shoulder, left arm. But the real mistake was by Fisher when he turns all the way around like he was going to make a play at third. Wouldn't have been a force out, would have been tough to get, even if Ethier was running.
So a leadoff double by Ethier. It scored a bunt single by Furcal, and then a throwing error allows him to go to second base.
A bunt single. How is that a single there? That should be, if anything, fielder's choice.
Breaking ball down and in, 2 balls and no strikes.
Thinking about making a comeback today with the way they're giving out hits. I go from 269 to 270.
Infield in for Pierre. Dodgers a prime chance to add to this 1-run lead. And that they will do. Looked like it got a piece of Fisher. 1 run scores, 2 runs score on a base hit by Pierre. And it is 7-4 Dodgers.
Well, just a shot back up the middle. Juan Pierre right in the middle of everything.
Couldn't tell whether that got a piece of Fisher's foot or his glove or just ricocheted off the mound.
He's not limping around or anything. And may have just shot off the mound. Andre Ethier having a good at bat to start the inning with that booming double.
Left-hander Daniel Ray Herrera getting loose now in the Reds bullpen. That may have gotten a piece of the foot. The right foot on the follow-through of Fisher. Ball 1 to Manny Ramirez. You talked about how beautifully Juan Pierre has handled this entire situation this year. Really is the 4th outfielder. He did get all that playing time when Manny Ramirez was suspended for the 50 games. And boy, did he make the most of it. But he's always been one of the real good guys in baseball. Just a great kid. Grew up in Louisiana. And you know, you wonder what will be next year for Juan Pierre. I'm not going to say he's near the end of his career, but he's certainly down the trail a little bit. And he's really had about a wasted year and a half of not being an everyday guy.
Yeah, you know, well, it's an interesting situation, though. Interesting dilemma for the Dodgers. Do you accommodate Juan Pierre and trade him? I mean, you've seen how invaluable he's been as a 4th outfielder this year. See Manny not liking that call. 3-0 pitch right there. You know, Laz Diaz has been inconsistent on the outer half of the plate. That pitch right on the corner.
Three-one delivery, and there's a strike.
Well, Fisher going back out the outer half of the plate. You can bet this next pitch will be out there as well. And hope that Laz Diaz has the expando zone back there.
Runner goes, and what's the call? It was ball 4, and the throw goes into center field, and Pierre is standing at third base. So a stolen base for Juan Pierre. It's been a 3-hit day for Juan. He's knocked in a couple of runs and now has 24 stolen bases. And Fisher, one of the rare times he has struggled this season.
Well, this up in the zone, and they're hoping to get the check swing call. Tatum goes ahead and makes the throw. See, Pierre goes on to third base. Manny down at first. Nobody out, and the problems continue.
So now Matt Kemp, runners at first and third. Kemp today 1 for 3, singled his last time up. High drive hit a ton into right center field, and this one long gone. A 3-run home run by Kemp, number 20 of the year. And it has gone from a 1-run game to a 6-run Dodger lead.
Well, we talked about the upside of Matt Kemp, and he just continues to impress on a daily basis.
Carlos Fisher, an ERA in the 2s in over 30 games out of the Reds bullpen. He faces 5 batters in this inning, and all 5 score. In-game box score. A lot of crooked numbers, especially at the top, a few of them down at the bottom. But the big blow a moment ago, the 3-run home run by Matt Kemp, introducing the all-new 306 horsepower rear wheel drive Hyundai Genesis Coupe. Well, we're talking about the 2 rookies in the Reds bullpen that have had outstanding years. Wasn't a good day for Fisher. But the other pitcher down there is this man right here, Daniel Ray Herrera. Herrera, one of those guys, and the first thing naturally when you see him is you think, he looks like he's about 10 years old. He's a 24-year-old left-hander, only 5 feet 6 inches tall, 165 pounds. Went to Permian High School in Odessa, Texas, and pitched at the University of New Mexico. And I mean, what a year this guy has had. Throws a screwball around 64, 65 miles per hour. And he issues a 4-pitch walk to Loney.
We have to say that one of the strengths of this year's Reds ball club, or one of the bright spots, has been the bullpen. I mean, the only team that was led after 8 innings did not lose a game, the Cincinnati Reds. Only team to do that in the National League.
And their bullpen ERA going into play today, the 3rd best in the National League. But that will blow up a little bit after Carlos Fisher's out.
Well, I mean, I look back at You know, we just saw that Hyundai box score and all the offense the Dodgers have demonstrated. But for me, the big blow of the game was Orlando Hudson catching that ball at second base with the bases loaded. I mean, a great play. Would have had the Reds ahead by a run. Instead, the Dodgers get out of it, come up to the plate, put some runs on the board. And that's what I'm talking about right here. Hudson making that great play. Throwing over to first base, getting out of the inning.
Two and two on Mark Loretta. It was a 4-4 game until the fifth inning when Furcal homered down the right field line. There was still a one-run lead after that great play by Hudson. This should be a double play ball. Giannis Phillips Votto it is. 2 away in the inning. But then the Dodgers strike for 5 in this 7th inning. 3 on the home run by Kemp. Well, this summer we invite you to please join Major League Baseball and the people all-stars among us in your community. By signing up to volunteer, you go to MLBGoBeyond.com. That one in the air off the bat of Orlando Hudson, and that one will fly out of here. The O-Dog with home run number 9. A 6-run Dodgers 7th, and they lead 11-4. Well, Joe Torre said earlier, I know our offense will come. Well, it's coming today.
Yeah, everybody getting in on the scoring today, swinging the bats well. And that's a no-nonsense home run. That's not wind-aided or anything. And O-Dog sprinting around those bases.
On the outside corner, a strike to Ausmus, nothing in 2.
You know, amazing that the Hudson signed so late as well. I mean, there were a number of teams that could have had his services. Dodgers just waited. It's almost as if Orlando Hudson selected the Dodgers. Signed to a 1-year deal. Guaranteed not much more than $3 million.
Fly ball into left, and that will mercifully end the 7th inning as the Dodgers score 6. 3 on a home run by Kemp. They stand and stretch in Cincinnati, and the Dodger lead stretches to 7. passing of a Cincinnati institution over the last week. William J. Williams Sr., one of the principal owners of the group that bought the Reds back in 1966, and then in 1980 became a managing general partner. He was credited with hiring Bob Howsam away from the St. Louis Cardinals, and Bob Howsam considered to be the architect of the Big Red Machine. And he is the father of Reds chairman Joe Williams and vice chairman and treasurer Tom Williams. And certainly our thoughts and prayers to the entire Williams family, named one of the living legends of Cincinnati 10 years ago. Had his entire family at the ballpark here last night. He was one of the owners of the Reds, and now his two sons part of the group that just bought the Reds 3 years ago.
See guys moving around. Matt Kemp back to his natural spot in center field. Andre Ethier in to right. Defensive issues as well.
Pierre now over and left, and the day is over for Manny Ramirez. Meanwhile, a new pitcher takes over. Following Hager, Weaver, and Troncoso is Ronald Belisario.
You know, that's another guy that's been a pleasant find for the Dodgers. Had a good spring training, a lot of movement, came over as a minor league free agent. Been very effective all year long. Had a little stint on the disabled list, but back in a real cog in this Dodger bullpen. I mean, they can run some arms out.
You know, it's amazing, Eric. I mean, going back to, well before you were ever a Dodger, I mean, it just seems like year after year after year, whether it be guys they bring up through their own system, whether it be guys they find in other people's system, as that one is flared into right, a base hit by Valentine. But every year the Dodgers just seem to have a bullpen full of guys that just have unbelievable arms.
Well, I mean, that's always been one of the philosophies of the organization, is to get power arms, and you couple that with the ballpark, Dodger Stadium, which is not a hitter's ballpark. It's become more hitter friendly in the last 7, 8, 9, 10 years. But you put the power arms, you put them in that ballpark, and I mean, it usually leads to a pitcher's, heaven, actually, is what it is. I mean, you get guys that say, hey, I love pitching there.
Well, you stop and think about it. If you are a pitcher, I don't give you a power pitcher, ground ball pitcher, fly ball pitcher, doesn't make any difference. If you are a pitcher, the best division by far to pitch in all of Major League Baseball is the National League West. Big ballparks at Dodger Stadium, enormous ballparks in San Diego and San Francisco. Arizona, I think, is a fair ballpark. And, Colorado obviously was the most hitter-friendly ballpark in the history of the game until the humidor came around. And now all of a sudden, Colorado over the last 3 or 4 years is no longer in the top 5 every year in home runs allowed. I'm not saying that you're still at mile-high altitude, right, and guys are going to hit, but they don't hit like they used to hit.
No, not at all. And I would agree. I mean, pitching somewhere in the National League West is a pitcher's dream, but I'd still tend to stay away from Colorado. As you mentioned, I mean, things have changed. But even with that ballpark, it's still an expansive outfield. Tough to play defense there.
Now, for those of you, many of you are well aware, and our game is on in Denver today, about the use of the humidor. It's like storing cigars. I mean, you keep the ball stored in a temperature that affects the softness of the ball, as opposed to being real hard at altitude. And so the ball does not travel as far in Denver, because the ball, quite frankly, is a different baseball. But, we were talking about the Rockies, and, as of a couple of days ago, there's a line drive for the first out, and the runner safe on the throw to first. We remind you, as always, at Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by new Gillette Hydro Scrub Body Wash, a powerful clean without the dry skin. and is sponsored by Hyundai. Now Hyundai Assurance can even lower your price at the pump, and by Pepsi. Pepsi is the official soft drink of Major League Baseball. You know, to finish the thought, Colorado, the Rockies lead the major leagues in quality starts by their pitchers. Who would have ever thought that?
That's amazing. It really is.
Greg Tatum, the batter, with Micah Owings. Yes, the pitcher, Micah Owings, standing in the on-deck circle. As many of you are more than likely familiar, this guy can really hit, in addition to being a pitcher. Foul ball. Tatum homered back in the third inning, his first major league home run. And there's strike three call. 2 away in the inning, and here comes Mike Owens. Saturday Baseball on Fox, presented by Budweiser, returns next week. The Giants will be in Milwaukee, the Red Sox will take on the White Sox, and the Rangers will be in Baltimore. Our coverage begins at 4 Eastern, 3 Central. Check your local listing. Of course, the White Sox and the Red Sox just got finished playing this week in Boston, and Chicago let a couple of them get away. That one hammered into left field, but run down by Pierre. So Micah Owings with a hard, loud out. Go to the 8th, 11-4 Dodgers. Well, Mike Owings, who pinch hit a moment ago, will stay in the game and pitch out of the bullpen. Owings has started 20 games. His only relief appearance up until this one was in a 16-inning 6-5 loss at San Diego. Owings came over in the Adam Dunn trade from the Arizona Diamondbacks last year. He just came off the disabled list a little longer than a week ago with a bout of tightness in his right shoulder. Those folks enjoying just a gorgeous day. It has just been an amazing summer pretty much all over the Midwestern part of America. Coolest temperatures on record in July in the history of this city. And seemingly every summer day has been much like today. Temperatures from 75 to 85 degrees, very low humidity. Nice day to be out on the river, looking into the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
Brought to you by the Tom Brenneman Tourism Board.
Absolutely. River looks like maybe a little low right now. Of course, you know, you played here for many, many years coming into town as a Dodger and later as a Cub. I mean, it can get very hot and very humid in the Midwest.
Well, and remember, too, the turf fields. I mean, I think that just made things a lot worse. Standing out on that turf. I think the worst thing, though, would be coming and playing in the heat, but then diving on that turf. I mean, that you just blister up your arms or your knees. That's when you had second thoughts about diving sometimes.
Eighth year, a jam shot fly ball into right center field. Stubbs there, one away. Pepsi, the official soft drink of Major League Baseball.
Jeff Weaver doing it, yeah.
Jeff Weaver, Major League Clutch Performer of this game, presented by Pepsi. To learn more about the MLB Clutch Performer of the Month award at PepsiClutch.com. That's when Weaver worked out of a bases loaded, nobody out jam in that fifth inning.
Yeah, that was one of the innings that he got out of it. And then, you know, with the Reds having the bases loaded, and Orlando Hudson making that great play. And the Reds had some opportunities to open things up today, and you know, you've got to give them credit for coming back after being down 4-0 after 2 innings.
On the ground, Novato, he'll feed Owings, and there are 2 away. I mean, you talk about the chances. I mean, the Reds went down in order in the first inning. The second, they left 1 on. The third, 2 on. The fourth, 1 on. And then the fifth and sixth innings left them loaded. That's 10 left on base in 5 innings. This guy right here can make a strong push for the Pepsi Clutch Performer of the Game award. He has had an outstanding game. Juan Pierre singled and scored in the first, singled in the second, robbed of a hit by Giannis in the fifth, 2-run single, stole a base, scored again in the seventh.
He's been doing it all year long, and you know, is the fourth outfielder. You know, again, getting back to, you know, what do the Dodgers do with him in the offseason? You know, he still has some years left on the contract, 2 years, making some pretty darn good money. But again, tough to bring him back. There's nowhere for him to play. You know, Ethier and Kemp solidified themselves in the outfield. Expected that Manny will pick up his option. It's his option to come back if he wants, and you can bet he's not going to walk away from the 20-some he's got out on the table.
No way. He wouldn't get half that money from another team in baseball. That's the good and the bad about signing guys to those kind of contracts.
Well, you know, again, the bad is obviously, you know, that the market wouldn't have that 20 out there next year, but the good is you didn't commit yourself for 5 years.
Right. Your old teammate, I was a little surprised to hear your old teammate, one-time teammate Oral Hershiser, talking about that in regard to a starting pitcher. And now he said he would never give any starting pitcher longer than a 3-year deal, but that in the 3 years he would overpay somebody for 3 rather than pay market value for 4 or 5.
Well, and it makes all the sense from a business standpoint. It absolutely makes sense. You know, it also depends on, you know, what type of market you're in.
Wow, what a play by Owens. That would have been hit number 4 today. Pierre should have a 5-hit game. Giannis took away a hit earlier, and now this. Baseball road trips by EAS. Don't waste your workout. Finish it with EAS Mileplex. And by Olive Garden, when you're here, your family. Reds bat in the bottom of the 8th inning. Dodgers leading 11-4 after a 6-run 7th. That ball hit down the right field line by Stubbs, and that is a foul ball.
Stubbs wanted in on that right field action today. Ball jumping out of there. Not much wind now, though. Probably about 3 or 4 innings too late.
So, Eric Karros, what would you do? I want to finish that Juan Pierre conversation for a minute, because you were talking about how he is signed through the 2011 season. You know Kemp's going to be back. You know Ethier's going to be back, and I know we're getting ahead of ourselves looking to next year. That one bobbled by Hudson, and the runner safe. A rare error by Orlando Hudson. But you know Manny's going to be back, and you know, I mean, if you're the Dodgers, big market club, big payroll, do you say, I know I can find a team out there that'll take on half of Pierre's salary, so we don't have to pay the full thing, and give him a chance to move elsewhere? Or do you keep him?
You know, it depends on what happens this year. How far do the Dodgers go to the postseason, assuming they get to the postseason, what they accomplish. You know, he has been invaluable. If the Dodgers win, then you give the guy you say, look, you know what, we're going to give you an opportunity to play. We'll try and get you in a better situation. If not, from a selfish standpoint, you keep him, because he arguably has been, the most valuable player on this ball club this year.
Really?
Well, with Manny being gone, I mean, that's when a lot of teams around the league felt that the Dodgers, this is when we can catch the Dodgers. This is when we'll make our push. And during that period, not only did he fill the void of Manny being gone, playing left field, but he also filled the void at the top of the lineup that for Call, because he wasn't playing well, had created. So he goes to the top of the lineup, he bunts, he gets over, he does things to ignite the offense. Dodgers didn't have another player that was capable of doing that. They could have really fallen back to the pack during that period.
That one got a piece of Brad Ausmus. Of course, he's been down that road before.
You see, he's got his bare hand out in front. You don't see that a lot, with catchers. Oh, he got a little hand, got a little everything. But because there's a runner on first base, you got the hand right there so you can make a transfer in case somebody's running.
Double play ball here. There's a tag, and that's a double play. Time for our Just for Men hair color holds leaders. And the Dodgers have a pile of them. It's a good bullpen.
It really is. You look at those guys, and what's interesting is it's not just one guy that has a hold. You have everybody involved.
And just as those pitchers keep their team in the game, you can stay in the game with Just for Men hair color as well. Tapper over the mound, charging for a call. Wow, was that slick. Rather, Juan Castro has just come on defensively for the Dodgers. What a play that was.
That gets you in trouble.
What's stupid? Well, the pitcher, Belisari, going to bat against Michael Owen, and they'll just leave him in there, try and finish it off. Which, by the way, for Belisari, as Adam Rosales takes over at second, he has a chance to get a save in this game. Doesn't matter what the score is when you come in. If you pitch the final 3 innings of a game obviously in which your team wins, if you pitch 3 innings out of the bullpen and get the final out, you get a save.
So he's not going to be able to add to that holds for men. What is that? What,
no.
The holds. Yeah, it was holds.
Hair color, right?
Yeah, that too.
I noticed you've gotten a haircut since the last time I saw you. It looks very good.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Not coloring it yet.
No. There's strike 3 to Belisar. Are you suggesting that I should look into that?
No, I just know the product that I'm going to get the color for men.
Might get it free. Time for a DirecTV game break. In Chicago, tie game in the 5th. Jake Fox, a grand slam to left center field. 10th home run of the year for Fox. That guy can hit. That gave the Cubs an 8-4 lead, and they win it 11-4. I don't know if they're going to ever have a position for Jake Fox with all the long-term contracts the Cubs have committed themselves to in recent years. Now, you look around, they have Derek Lee at first, they have Aramis Ramirez at third. Fox could play those positions. Perhaps really the most untradeable player maybe in baseball is Alfonso Soriano. At his age and 5 years remaining on that deal and left. You've got Milton Bradley in right field, and those are the 4 positions where Fox can play. There's strike 3 called to Kemp.
Yeah, his game is suited for the American League. You know, 1 extra spot there, but he has shown some life with the Cubs this year. Again, it's not always about if you can play at the big league level. It's, you know, do you have the opportunity to play at the big league level?
Mm-hmm. Two away here in the 9th inning for Micah Owings, and here's James Loney. All right, here in the last half inning, I want to talk to you a little bit about this Dodger team. And I know we're getting way ahead of things, but you know, calendar turns into September. Here in a couple of days, Dodgers going into play today with a 4-game lead over Colorado, and it's no guarantee the Dodgers are going to get in the playoffs. Well, let's just acknowledge that from the beginning, but you certainly have to like their chances. You know, the way this team is built right now, offensively, even though we've seen them scuffle recently, Joe Torre said it, and we're seeing evidence of what he talked about. I really believe the offense will come around. But the pitching, is the starting pitching good enough to go toe-to-toe with the Phillies and the Cardinals, as there's ball 4 to Loney, and maybe either, you know, Colorado, San Francisco, Atlanta, Florida, whoever's a wild card? How do they stack up as far as their pitching is concerned against any of those teams in a playoff?
Well, if you look at it right now, you know, and you say, what have guys accomplished up to this point right now, you'd say no. But, and there's a big but here, Billingsley can shut down anybody on any given day. Kershaw arguably could have the best stuff of any pitcher in the game, but again, because he is, you know, still young, inexperienced, it's not somebody that you can count on. But if these guys get hot for a period of time, a week or two, I mean, absolutely they can make a run. Randy Wolf, again, not a guy that gets, you know, a lot of accolades, has quietly had an exceptional year this year.
We'll run a fly ball in a deep left field, and Ballantine with a nice catch, and that'll end the inning. We'll continue this conversation when the Reds come to bat in the bottom of the 9th. All Dodgers today, leading 11-4. It's presented by Gillette. Gillette Body Wash, the official body wash of Major League Baseball. Well, Guillermo Mota is going to take over on the mound, so Mr. Belisario will not have a chance to pick up a save. Mota having a rock-solid year, like many of the pitchers in the LA bullpen. All right, let's get back now to this talk about the Dodgers. They're pitching, looking ahead. Should they reach the National League playoff?
Well, you know, and there's one guy that for me is still the wild card, and that's Kuroda. I mean, this is a guy that had a great postseason run last year, was excellent in September. And we know he was hit in the head by a line drive. He's on the disabled list. He threw a simulated game today. But if he comes back and just can get things going the last two, I mean, that's another guy that could be dominant in the postseason.
Adam Rosales, first pitch swinging, fly ball to right. One pitch, one out from Mota.
Put it this way, are they my first choice as far as pitching staffs, as starters that I would pick in the postseason? They're not my first choice, but they're absolutely a very viable choice.
You know, but let me ask you this. You know, you say they're not their first choice. I mean, couldn't you make an argument they would be your last choice? I mean, if they had to, I'm talking only the starting rotation, because the bullpen's lights out. Well, there's no debate about that.
I don't know if they'd be my last choice. I'm not sure that I would pick Philadelphia over the Dodgers. I mean, Cliff Lee, I think, has separated himself, but
yeah, really, Hamels has not had a great year.
No,
I mean, it's not the same Cole Hamels
no.
as last year, and Joe Blanton has just been okay. And
you know, Wainwright and Carpenter, Cardinals. Kane and Lincecum, Giants. But after that, you know, I take the Dodgers.
Yep. And the other team you brought up earlier that you said you still like,
the Braves.
I mean, what a formidable rotation that would be if they find a way to get in. I mean, you're talking about Javier Vasquez having a sensational year. And Tommy Hanson, the right-hander.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
And then, as you mentioned, coming back this week, or scheduled to come back, is Tim Hudson.
Yep.
And you can't, I'm forgetting maybe their best pitcher all year in Jair Jurgens.
Yeah.
Loved at third by Loretta, and the Reds are down to their final out. Our game-changing play, and it was a game-changing play. Bases loaded, Reds down a run, presented by Holiday Inn. A great defensive play by Orlando Hudson, keeping the Reds from scoring. That was in the 6th inning, and then in the top of the 7th, the Dodgers scored 6 runs to break this one wide open. Swing and a miss by Valentin. Reds and Dodgers will play the rubber game of this series tomorrow. And really one of the guys who's been among the best pitchers in all of baseball over the last month and a half, Bronson Arroyo, will start it for Cincinnati. And on the mound for the Dodgers, it'll be the left-hander that Eric mentioned a moment ago, Clayton Kershaw. That should be a very good game tomorrow. Boy, Arroyo, a 2-4 record going back to the All-Star break with an ERA at 2.
Gets frustrating after a while.
What a play by Loretta, and that will put the exclamation point on this Dodger win to even the series at a game apiece. Our final score, the Dodgers 11 and the Reds 4. We'll return to Cincinnati for more post-game coverage after these messages.